the brother of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria's half-brother Charles came into the world on the 12th of September 1804. He was born to Emmett Karl, the second Prince of Leiningen, and Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. At the age of 17, Victoria herself entered into marriage with the widowed Emmett Karl, who was 40 years old at the time. Emmett Karl had previously been married to Victoria's aunt Henriette, and in 1807 a daughter named Theodora was born. Karl had received his education at a private school in Bern and later pursued law studies at the University of Göttingen. There he studied under Karl Friedrich, a renowned expert in German constitutional law and a leading advocate of the German historical school of jurisprudence. During this time at the British court, Karl developed a keen interest in various forms of art. In 1828 he commenced the construction of Leiningen Castle, which served as his private residence. The architectural style of the castle was inspired by neo-Gothic castles found in Britain, such as Abbotsford House. As a noble family, the princes of Leiningen held seats in the Landtag Diet of Baden, Bavaria and Hesse. In 1842, Prince Karl assumed the role of president of the Bavarian Upper House, and he additionally pursued a military career in the Bavarian army and held the honorary rank of lieutenant general in the cavalry. On the 20th of April 1842, Karl and 20 other noblemen convened at Biebrich Palace to establish the Adelsverein. The purpose of this organization was to facilitate the settlement of German immigrants in Texas, and Karl was elected as its president. Following the German revolutions of 1848 to 1849, Leiningen gained considerable recognition as a progressive reformer and free thinker. He passionately advocated for the implementation of parliamentary systems and openly criticized the privileges enjoyed by aristocracy. As a result, on the 6th of August 1848, he was appointed as the Prime Minister of Revolutionary Germany by Regent Archduke John of Austria. The appointment of a Catholic head of state and a Lutheran head of government, such as Leiningen, created a balance within the German dualism system. Furthermore, his close ties to the British royal house were generally well received, and initially Leiningen's cabinet enjoyed support from a majority of liberals and left-wing members in the newly established Frankfurt Parliament. However, on the 5th of September, a significant event occurred, known as Schleswig-Holstein Question. King Frederick William of Prussia unilaterally signed with Denmark in Malmö, which sparked outrage among the delegates of the Frankfurt Assembly. The reaction was so intense that Leiningen, unable to assert the authority of the central government, was compelled to resign from his position as Prime Minister. He was succeeded by Anton von Schmeling, an Austrian politician who served as Prime Minister until December. Throughout Victoria's days, Victoria spent most of her time in the company of her lady-in-waiting, Baroness Spath. When her husband passed away in 1814, it likely brought some relief to Victoria, and she embraced her newfound independence. Victoria held a deep affection for her son, and initially she hesitated to remarry the Duke of Kent, fearing that she might lose custody as Charles. However, her brother, who would later become King Leopold I of Belgium, managed to convince her otherwise. As Victoria embarked on her new journey, Charles was away at school in Switzerland, and on the 24th of May 1819, his half-sister was born, and in November Charles sent a congratulatory letter from Geneva to mark his stepfather's birthday. Unfortunately, they didn't have many opportunities to spend time together, as the Duke of Kent passed away on the 23rd of January 1820, leaving his mother widowed once again. Charles began studying law at university in 1821. However, it wasn't until Charles reached adulthood that he had the chance to meet his half-sister for the very first time. In the summer of 1825, the entire family, including Charles and their shared grandmother Augusta, embarked on a journey to Clermont. They gathered there to celebrate the Duchess of Kent's birthday. and during Victoria's youth she and her half-brother were not close, mainly because Charles had aligned himself with the widely disliked Sir John Conroy, upon whom he relied for financial support. On the 13th of February 1829, Charles entered into marriage with Maria von Klebelsberg, who had previously served as lady-in-waiting to Prince Albert's mother, Princess Louise. Charles' choice of bride did not sit well with his family, and they were far from pleased. He and his new wife settled in Amerbach and embarked on extravagant and costly renovations, seemingly funded by the Duchess of Kent's accounts. On the 9th of December 1830, Maria gave birth to their first child, Ernest Leopold, who would eventually succeed Charles as the Prince of Leiningen. A second son, Eduard Frederick, was born in 1833, and for Charles a continuation of his mother's regency over Victoria meant extended financial support, which led him to turn against his half-sister. Their relationship grew to be one of animosity, and Victoria developed a strong hatred for him. She frequently expressed her disdain for the wickedness of the Prince of Leiningen and his friend, Sir John. Baron Stockmar, an advisor to the then Princess Victoria, warned Charles to cease his bullying behaviour and reminded him that treachery, lies and fraud were not the means to achieve success. However, Charles stubbornly refused to back down and even told his half-sister, "Do you think the people celebrate your reign with unbounded joy, believing you to be their hope simply because you will be queen at 18? Oh no, they anticipate that you will follow in your mother's footsteps." He praised John Conroy, claiming that Conroy had diligently laboured for years to create a substantial popularity for Victoria. When Queen Victoria turned 18, Charles happened to be in London. On that afternoon, he, Victoria and their mother took a ride through the parks, and despite Victoria's deep-seated hatred for her half-brother, upon her accession to the throne, she bestowed upon him the Order of the Garter. This gesture hinted at a possible thawing of their relationship, and it seemed that their bond might improve over the coming years. Charles made frequent visits, including one in the summer of 1848, when he joined Victoria, Albert and their two older children in Scotland. During that year, Charles briefly held the position of President of the Reich Ministry. Tragedy struck Karl's life, and in 1855 he suffered a severe apoplectic attack, a condition characterized by a sudden disruption of blood supply to the brain. This episode likely left him weakened and altered the course of his life. Despite the challenges that he faced, Karl remained resilient and continued to navigate his responsibilities to the best of his ability. Sadly, Karl's health deteriorated further when he experienced a second apoplectic attack in November of the following year. This time the attack proved fatal and he passed away at the age of 52. During his final moments, his sister Theodora was by his side, providing comfort and support as he transitioned from this world. The news of Karl's death reached his half-sister Queen Victoria, who was deeply affected by the loss. In her personal journal, she expressed her profound grief and disbelief, struggling to comprehend the reality of her brother's absence. She wrote of her longing to see his familiar face, hear his cheerful voice, and relish in his delightful company once more. The idea that Karl, who embodied life, vitality, and merriment to her, would no longer be present in this world, and that seemed inconceivable and heart-wrenching. Queen Victoria acknowledged the pain and difficulty of accepting such a loss. She recognized that it felt unbearable and unjust. However, in her grief she found solace in the belief that Karl's passing was ultimately an act of mercy in the eyes of God. Though the pain of his absence remained, she resolved to submit to the will of a higher power, finding strength in her faith. Thus, Karl's untimely death marked the end of a vibrant and cherished presence in the lives of those who knew him. His memory lived on through the heartfelt words of Queen Victoria, forever preserving the love and admiration that she held for her deeply loved only brother, Charles. Please continue to support my channel by subscribing. Please comment, like and subscribe if you wish for more stories, and leave your suggestions below and I will endeavour to cover them.